Welcome to AFRITALES by Moonlight. Please subscribe, like, comment and share our channel with your friends. Thank you. Leah Okafor always woke at 5. The rooster outside their Abuja duplex crowed as reliably as a wristwatch, but this morning its cry felt thinner, like a warning. Dawn painted milky stripes across the ceiling as she rolled over to find the other half of the bed cold. Again. Daryl's side smelled faintly of his cologne, cedar and citrus, and of the late-night air-conditioned chill that clung to his suits when he crept in after midnight. She brushed her hand across the smooth sheet, half hoping for warmth, half afraid it would be there. Leah, whispering another early start, or another late night. But only the ceiling fan answered, chopping the silence into uneasy fragments. Downstairs, she brewed Ethiopian coffee, the rich aroma filling the kitchen's tiled stillness. She prepared 2 mugs, the second out of habit, then plated akara and pap for breakfast. When Daryl finally appeared at the doorway, tie already knotted, eyes glassy from too little sleep, Leah's heart rose despite herself. "Morning," she ventured, voice soft. He nodded but didn't kiss her cheek. He picked at the akara, scrolling his phone. "Leah, busy day?" Daryl, without looking up, "Boards on my neck. New investors fly in tomorrow." A beat. Leah studied him, the faint shadows under his eyes, the tension around his mouth. He used to share every triumph and worry. Now each sentence felt leased, not owned. She placed her hand over his. "Let me iron your navy suit for tomorrow. The cotton silk blend looks sharp on you." Daryl slid his hand free. "It's handled," he said, standing abruptly. He rinsed his cup and walked out. As his car reversed down the driveway, Leah's phone buzzed, group chat ping. "Ladies' book club tonight. Don't forget to bring your favorite quote." She almost laughed. Quotes felt pointless when conversation at home had turned to smoke. She cleaned the plates, but the quiet had weight now. That weight followed her through her freelance editing shifts, through the supermarket aisles where she forgot the one thing she came for, and finally to the laundry basket that evening. The collar of Daryl's crisp white shirt carried a scent, sweet, floral, expensive. Not her vanilla jasmine lotion. She raised the fabric to her nose, gardenia and oud. A foreignness that drilled straight into her rib cage. Inner Leah, ask him. Don't invent stories. But when he arrived after 10, another client dinner, he headed straight to the shower. Leah waited on the edge of the bed, shirt in hand. "Leah, can we talk?" Daryl, towel slung over shoulder, "I'm exhausted, Lee." "Tomorrow?" Tomorrow never came. Days blurred like wet paint. She cooked, he skipped meals. She sent midday prayers, he left them on read. Their 8th anniversary neared. Once they'd planned a Zanzibar getaway. This year, Daryl booked a strategic retreat in Johannesburg, alone. The night of the anniversary, Leah lit 2 candles at dinner and waited. Midnight found her at the table, the candles melted to stubs, phone silent. Heart louder than ever. When she finally climbed into bed, a tear slipped onto the pillow. It felt like a betrayal. She'd promised herself no tears until she understood the storm she was caught in. Nothing felt real anymore except the widening gulf between them. A gulf that breathed, that swallowed laughter whole. Wednesday brought Harmattan haze and the first open crack in Leah's composure. She folded laundry again, routine as heartbeat, when her friend Adiz called. Adiz, voice bright, then cautious. "Sis, you okay? Saw your Insta story, empty dinner table." Leah, forcing a chuckle, "Just experimenting with still life photography." Adiz, listen, I heard something at the art fundraiser last night." Leah's pulse stuttered. "Adiz, someone saw Daryl with a woman, looked close. I wanted to tell you directly." Leah steadied herself against the washing machine. The clatter of buttons in the drum suddenly sounded like hail on glass. "Leah, I appreciate you telling me." Adiz, could be business networking, but her hand was on his chest. After the call, Leah sat on their terrazzo floor, sunlight slicing across her toes. She scrolled her gallery app, photos of better times. Daryl lifting her on Bar Beach sand, 2 heads pressed together at their civil wedding registry. She whispered, "Where did we go?" That evening she waited in the living room, fingers twisting her wedding band. When Daryl's headlights splashed across the curtains, she rehearsed lines, calm, reasonable. But he breezed in, phone glued to ear. "Yes, send the revised term sheet." "No, move the dinner to Eco Hotel, we need bigger press coverage." He mouthed later to Leah and vanished into his office. Later never came. He slept in the guest room to finish slides. Leah lay awake listening to the faint tap-tap of his keyboard, the distance between the clicks and her heartbeat expanding into an entire continent. Friday morning she resolved to confront truth head-on. She borrowed Adi's driver and tailed Daryl's Lexus after he left for early coffee with investors. Traffic near Maitama crawled, Leah's breaths matched the rhythmic brake lights. Daryl pulled into Le Château, a boutique hotel with mirrored glass. Leah watched him exit the car, greet a tall woman in a champagne-colored jumpsuit. The woman's laugh, a shimmering bell, reached Leah even through closed windows. Gardenia and Oud, she imagined. They vanished inside. Leah exhaled so sharply the driver flinched. She leaned back, eyes burning, nails biting her palms. Part of her wanted to burst in, demand answers. Another part, tired, bruised, wanted proof, not confrontation. She texted Adiz, "He's here. I saw her. Adiz, come home. Gather strength first." Leah obeyed. At home, she paced, replaying every moment of neglect. And then, as if summoned by her turmoil, Daryl's brother, Ikenna, knocked. His face, usually mischievous, was tight with guilt. "Ikenna, Leah, can we talk?" "Leah, if it's about my husband, yes." He sank onto the sofa, elbows on knees. "Ikenna, he's been with someone named Amora. They met at an energy summit in Ghana. He talks like he found, I dunno, a new life." Leah, voice even, "Thank you for honesty." "Ikenna, I begged him to remember you. But his blinded." Silence pooled. Finally, Leah said, "I'm not leaving my home to chase a ghost. If he wants out, he'll have to tell me." That night Daryl returned past midnight, smelling of whiskey and something floral. Leah was waiting in the hallway. "Leah, how was coffee, and dinner, and whatever else?" Daryl, shoulders stiff, "Long day. Investor drama." Leah, holding his shirt collar to her nose, "Investor where's Gardenia?" His eyes flashed irritation. "You're being paranoid, Leah." He brushed past to the guest room. The door shut like a verdict. Leah leaned against the wall, tears finally falling, silent, relentless. Yet underneath the sorrow, a thin spine of steel began to form. She would not crumble, she would seek clarity. Saturday dawned bright, mocking her mood. Leah joined her book club women at Café Velvet. She wore oversized sunglasses, but Adiz could read heartbreak in the slump of her shoulders. Halfway through their almond croissants, a journalist friend of Adiz slid into the booth, phone in hand. "Journalist," lowering voice, "you know Leah's husband, right? My editor flagged these." He placed the phone between cappuccino cups, a carousel of images, Daryl and the champagne jumpsuit woman at a rooftop soiree, her hand tracing his jaw, his arm encircling her waist. The city lights behind them formed a cruel halo. Leah stared without blinking. Each swipe felt like a blade, but strangely each cut also drained the numbness, leaving raw clarity. Adiz reached over, ready to snatch the phone away, but Leah touched her hand. "I need to see." She memorized the woman's feline smile, the tilt of Daryl's head, affection he hadn't shown Leah in months. The cafe's soft jazz suddenly crescendoed in Leah's chest until she could hardly breathe. She excused herself, walked to the restroom, locked the door, and allowed a single sob to escape. Then she straightened, splashed cold water on her face, and regarded her reflection. "Inner Leah, you are still you. Love given was never wasted. But you must decide what happens next." Back at the table, Adiz whispered, "We can delete those. Just say the word." Leah smiled sadly. "Keep them. Truth is better friend than illusion." Sunday afternoon ushered an invitation from Daryl, company gala next Saturday. "I need you there. Optics." The message lacked apology, lacked warmth, just requirement. Leah stared at it, thumb hovering. Optics, she thought. A wife as prop. She replied, "I will attend." That week she prepared. Not for him, for herself. She took the gown she'd bought for their missed anniversary trip, a cobalt satin that kissed every curve, and had it tailored to perfection. She booked a hairstylist, chose bold crimson lipstick, and practiced a smile that belonged solely to her. Adiz, on video call, "You look like royalty." Leah, fastening earrings, "Tonight, I reclaim my narrative." The gala unfurled at the Transcorp Hilton Ballroom, crystal chandeliers, live saxophone, the scent of money and ego. Leah entered on Daryl's arm, cameras blinking. For a heartbeat he seemed almost proud to display her beauty, until Amora appeared in a glittering gold sheath. Leah felt Daryl's arm tense. He guided Leah toward investors, but his gaze magnetized to Amora. Conversations blurred into white noise. Then it happened, an ugly convergence of jealousy, liquor, and wounded pride. Amora sidled up, greeting Daryl with a cheek kiss too intimate. Investors raised brows. Leah stepped back, giving him space to choose respect. He chose ruin. Daryl hissed at Leah, eyes blazing, "You're embarrassing me." Standing there like punishment. Leah, steady, "I'm here because you asked." Daryl, "I asked out of pity. You're a burden." And with that, in full view of board members, clients, journalists, he spat, saliva and spite, onto Leah's cheek. A collective gasp sucked the ballroom's oxygen dry. Flashbulbs popped. Someone dropped a champagne flute. Time slowed. Leah's first instinct was to wipe her face, to duck, to run. Instead she inhaled, lifted her chin, and met his eyes with calm more lethal than fury. She dabbed the spit with a silk handkerchief, folded it, and slipped it into her clutch like discarded evidence. "Leah," voice level, "excuse me." She turned and walked, shoulders back, gown sweeping, through the stunned crowd and out the grand doors. Behind her, murmurs swelled into a roar, phones raised, tweets already forming. Outside, Abuja's night air wrapped her in cool relief. She closed her eyes, feeling strangely light, as if the spit had carried away the last thread tethering her to sorrow. The ballroom doors exhaled behind Leah, and Abuja's humid night pressed close, smelling of hibiscus and exhaust fumes. The valet hurried toward her, confused, no claim ticket in her hand, no escort in sight. Leah waved him off and started walking. Her cobalt gown trailed like spilled ink across the hotel's marble steps. Street lamps flickered, casting halos that blurred her tears into simple sheen. A cyclist whizzed past, earbuds blasting Amapiano, unaware that a private apocalypse had unfolded meters away. Leah's phone quivered in her clutch. She ignored it until the buzzing felt like a pulse separate from her own. Finally, beneath a jacaranda tree, she slid the screen open. Messages stacked like dominoes. "Adiz, where are you?" "I'm coming." Book club thread. "Girl, Twitter is on fire, are you okay?" Unknown number, CNN Africa requests comment on the Transcorp incident. Leah stared, heartbeat stuttering. Incident. A neat syllable for ugliness. 2 taxis slowed, drivers craning to glimpse the lone woman in couture. She hailed the second. Inside, she gave Adiz's address, not her home. Home didn't feel true tonight. The ride blurred. She noticed details only because silence made them vivid. Crimson dashboard light on the driver's knuckles, the radio host debating fuel subsidies, the way Hamatan dust fogged the headlights. When Adiz opened her apartment door, she took in Leah's immaculate hair, the perfect gown, and the dried smear on Leah's cheek. Eyes glossy, Adiz pulled her in. Leah didn't cry. Instead she spoke in the softest monotone, recounting the spit, the gasp, the cameras. Adiz listened, shaking, until sentences ran out. "Adiz," fierce whisper, "we can release a statement, drag him to hell. Say the word." Leah, "Not tonight. Talking feels vulgar." Adiz guided her to the guest room. Leah showered, watching the spit-stained handkerchief dissolve in steaming water. She changed into Adiz's oversized tee, lay on crisp sheets, and finally let a single sob bloom, sharp, then gone. Leah woke at noon to the metallic scent of headlines. Adiz perched on the bed, laptop open. "Adiz, you need to see this or tell me to close it." On screen, a grainy phone video, 8 seconds, vertical format. Daryl's face contorted in rage, Leah's quiet composure, the spit. The clip looped mutely, but the room seemed to echo with imagined gasps. Sidebar screamed, #stand like Leah tops trends in 43 countries. Corporate titan under fire for assault. Commentators hail woman's dignity. Leah touched the trackpad, pausing the frame where she lifted her chin. Her stillness looked almost regal. "Is that really me?" Leah, quietly, "The moment feels bigger than the marriage ever was." Adiz, "Because dignity is universal currency." Leah's phone overflowed. Offers of free legal counsel, influencer collabs, strangers' prayers. One voice message stood out, her mother's. Mema Okafor, voice trembling, Igbo accent softened by decades in Abuja Nwam, "I saw. My heart broke then mended stronger. Come home anytime. I am cooking ofensala." Leah replayed it twice, letting maternal warmth patch invisible cracks. By evening, think pieces sprouted, the politics of public humiliation, quiet resistance in patriarchal spaces. A Nairobi poet tweeted a haiku. "Spit falls like acid. Still water reflects the moon. Ash rises as dawn." Retweets soared. Leah closed the laptop. Thunder is just air expanding, she murmured. Let it pass. But across the city, thunder rattled Daryl and Joku's kingdom. The boardroom at Enjoku Energy Ventures usually smelled of sandalwood diffusers and quiet triumph. This Monday, it reeked of anxiety and disinfectant. The cleaning crew had scrubbed spilled coffee after a junior analyst vomited from stress. Daryl sat at the head, neck veins pulsing. 8 board members glared over silver laptops. Chairman Tunde Bako, icily, your behavior breached Clause 7 of the Conduct Charter, any action causing reputational harm. Daryl, it was a private marital spat blown out of proportion. Director Hassan, private? There are 34 million views in 36 hours. A PR consultant cleared her throat. Sentiment analysis shows 88% negative mood toward you, 93% positive toward Mrs. Okafor. Our sponsors threaten withdrawal. On cue, Daryl's phone pinged, Eventbrite has cancelled your keynote slot. Sweat gathered under his collar. He imagined Amora's reassuring smile, but last night she'd gone radio silent, investors warn optics, she'd texted. Chairman Bako slid a document across the table. Leave of absence. Sign. Effective immediately. Daryl, voice cracking, the company is my sweat and genius. Bako, and Leah built its brand with her editing, your early pitch decks, your speeches. Let's not rewrite history. Pen trembling, Daryl signed. The room's tension eased like a storm eye passing. Outside, paparazzi shutters exploded. A microphone jabbed, Mr. Njoku, do you regret spitting on your wife? He shoved past, tie askew. In his Range Rover, he scrolled social feeds. Clips of Leah's composure intercut with sponsor statements, we stand with survivors of public humiliation. Even hashtags mocking him, #Spittle Capital, #Daryl the Dribbler. Desperation choked him. He dialed Leah, straight to voicemail. He typed, I'm sorry. Please call. Deleted it. Typed again. Instead, he opened an alt account, posted, she provoked me. Within minutes, commenters unearthed the alias and ratioed him into oblivion. That night, alone in his penthouse, Daryl wandered rooms Leah had painted sage green. Her laughter seemed trapped in corners. He poured whiskey, but the amber liquid tasted of shame. He hurled the glass, it shattered, shards glittering like ruined stardust. Hours later, he wrote an email to HR, I resign. Irreversible. Yet he couldn't click send. Meanwhile, Leah moved through Adi's flat surrounded by flowers. Couriers deviated from routes to deliver anonymous bouquets. She read every card. Your Grace saved my daughter from quitting law school. I left my abusive fiancé today. Each note felt like a tiny candle lit from her single spark. Adi scrolled a fashion blog. Your cobalt gown sold out worldwide. Leah laughed, a bright, surprised sound. But she felt the weight of narrative spiraling beyond her control. That evening she drafted a statement. I choose silence now. Not out of fear, but reflection. When words return, they will build, not burn. She posted it on Instagram. 10 minutes later, 1.2 million likes. 3 weeks passed. Leah avoided cameras, but the world kept looking. Editors requested op-eds, talk shows dangled six-figure deals. She said no, until she didn't. Good Morning Africa called. The anchor, Miriam Osei, was famed for empathy over spectacle. Leah agreed to a pre-recorded segment, no live ambushes. Adiz prepped her, sound bites, you control timing. Leah nodded, but internally she begged herself, speak only truth. Studio lights bloomed warm. Miriam greeted her with gentle palm over palm. Miriam, soft billions saw a moment. Few know the road before it. Who was Leah before that night? Leah inhaled, sensing cameras zoom. Leah, I was a woman trying to keep love alive by dimming my own light. For 20 minutes she traced early courtship, how Daryl once drove 6 hours to meet her parents, then the slow erosion, skipped dinners, silences, invisible perfume. Leah, when he spat, it wasn't the liquid that hurt. It was realizing I had already abandoned myself. Miriam blinked away tears. Viewers are flooding us with gratitude. Leah continued, voice steady, healing can be loud, but sometimes power is in quiet rebuilding. I call it rise quietly. The phrase hit like gospel. After the interview aired, Twitter birthed #rise quietly. Women posted photos, replacing locks, signing leases, starting therapy. Men joined too, sharing apologies, pledges to unlearn harm. Leah's inbox overflowed, NGOs requesting patronage, magazines offering cover shoots. She consulted Adiz and Mima Okafor. They formed a small advisory circle, lawyer, therapist, social strategist, dubbed Phoenix Desk. Phoenix Desk's first act: launch a microgrant for women exiting toxic relationships. Press release simple: a seed for new soil. Within 48 hours, $40,000 flowed in, crowd-funded across continents. Leah recorded a thank you clip from Adiz's balcony, hair in windswept curls. Leah, smiling every cent is a wing beat. Together, we rise. The video surpassed the gala clip's views within a week. Across town, Daryl scrolled in disbelief. He drafted multiple public apologies, each one sounding hollow to his own ears. PR firms refused him, conflict of interest with Leah. Former allies ghosted. One humid night, his doorbell rang. Amora, eyes hidden behind oversized shades, stood with suitcase. Amora, tight-lipped investors threatened my fund. If I stay, doors close. I'm flying to Dubai. Daryl, desperate, we can rebuild. Amora, rebuild what? You're ground zero. She walked away, heels echoing doom. Daryl sank to the floor, surrounded by silence so thick it hummed. He opened his laptop, typed Leah Okafor Phoenix Fund. The homepage glowed, photo of Leah laughing with 2 children at a shelter opening. Beneath, don't kneel in ashes, use them to draw your map. He slapped the laptop shut, fury curdling into grief. That grief pushed him to write a letter, pen on vellum, ink blotting where hands shook. Leah. I mistook your softness for weakness and my applause for love. You never needed me, I needed your light to see myself. Forgive me, if forgiveness fits your new horizon. D. He sealed it, addressed the envelope, but set it in a drawer, fear heavier than remorse. The world, meanwhile, crowned Leah something larger than icon, mirror. Her story reflected anyone who'd ever swallowed disrespect. She felt the honor but also the danger of pedestal living. One evening, Phoenix Desk held strategy in Mima Okafor's kitchen, aromas of Ofensala weaving hope. Lawyer Chidinma, media buyout offers your life rights for a series. They dangled $2 million. Leah, stirring soup, my life isn't for sale. But if a film can fund 10 shelters, perhaps. Therapist Dr. Mensah, guard your peace. Trauma turned into entertainment can re-traumatize. Leah nodded, adjusting spices. Peace first, platform second. Her phone buzzed, notification from an art auction house. The cobalt gown, donated anonymously, had fetched 40 million Nigerian nairas for domestic abuse charities. She smiled, tasting broth. It needed more utazi leaf, bitterness balancing flavor, pain seasoning triumph. Abuja's late afternoon light slanted through Adiz's living room blinds, striping the wall with molten gold. Leah and the Phoenix Desk team had gathered for their weekly strategy check-in. A flip chart bore bullet points: Grant Cycle 02, Shelter Partnership, Mental Health Helpline, but conversation kept drifting to stories of women aided by the Rise Quietly Fund. Lawyer Chidinma was recounting a case when Leah's phone buzzed with an unfamiliar email notification. Subject: For your eyes only, truth should live free. An attachment icon glowed. Leah's stomach tightened. She excused herself to Adiz's study, a small room lined with travel magnets and succulents. She plugged in headphones and opened the file. A grainy CCTV video filled the screen, a corridor carpeted in burgundy and gold, the backstage area of the Transcorp Hilton Ballroom. Timestamp, 8:17 p.m., gala night. Leah recognized Daryl in profile, tie loosened, pacing. Then Amora strode in, stilettos clicking like castanets. Amora, audio faint but clear, remember what we rehearsed. Everyone watches how you deal with dead weight. Daryl, she's not dead weight, just in the way. Amora, leaning close, icy smile, put her in her place. Investors love decisive men. No weakness. She smoothed Daryl's lapel, whispered something indecipherable, and walked away. Daryl stared after her, jaw flexing, then stormed toward the ballroom, the direction of Leah's humiliation. Leah froze, pulse thumping in her throat. She replayed the clip twice, then read the email body. Ms. Okafor. I used to assist Mr. Njoku. I resigned after that night. Found this on the server, management planned to wipe it. It belongs with you. K. A former assistant, risking career for justice. Leah exhaled, equal parts gratitude and nausea. The clip reframed everything. The spit hadn't been a spontaneous burst of cruelty, it was orchestrated, egged on by someone who saw her as leverage. Adiz knocked lightly. Everything okay? Leah beckoned her in, Hit play. Adi's gasp cut the air. She weaponized him. Leah clicked pause as Amora's face filled the screen mid-whisper. Someone plotted my public unmaking, she thought, and I still didn't break. Adi's, teeth clenched, we leaked this. Let the world torch them. Leah removed the headphones slowly. Truth, yes, but torches start wildfires. Who gets burned next? They gathered Phoenix's desk. Opinions volleyed across the room. Chidinma, legal mind, video proves premeditation and establishes motive. Could bolster civil suit if you choose. Dr. Mensah, therapist, but releasing it risks re-traumatizing Leah and fueling more voyeuristic frenzy. Adi's, public deserves the full story. Leah listened, fingers steepled. Finally she spoke, voice low but steady. Leah, my mission was never vengeance. Still, transparency helps others escape gaslighting. We release, but with context, an educational frame, not tabloid fodder. They drafted a plan. Phoenix Desk would publish the clip on their website accompanied by a statement on coercion and accountability, plus resources on identifying emotional manipulation. Comments disabled, download blocked to deter meme culture. They would tip 3 reputable journalists known for ethical reporting. Chidinma added disclaimers to avert defamation claims. By midnight, everything sat queued, awaiting Leah's confirmation. Before hitting publish, Leah sat on Adi's balcony, Abuja's skyline twinkling. She wrote a private email to the anonymous assistant. I received the footage. Your courage turns wounds into wisdom. Thank you for choosing integrity. She opened a blank note, addressed to Daryl. I know how it happened now. May truth set you free, too. She didn't send it. At 12:01 a.m., she pressed enter. Dawn broke to headlines. New footage reveals gala spit was coached humiliation. Clips aired with Phoenix Desk's watermark and a 30-second trigger warning. Television panels pivoted from gossip to deeper analysis. Power dynamics, corporate misogyny, performative masculinity. Twitter transformed again. This time hashtags #planspit and #coercive control trended alongside #rise quietly. Psychologists threaded explanations, grassroots groups scheduled webinars. Leah's phone never stopped buzzing, but amid the din came a single SMS from Ikenna. Sis, I'm ashamed of my brother. Thank you for exposing the rot. If you ever need anything, call me. And then, unexpected, an email from Amora's corporate address marked out of office. Inside, only 2 sentences. Leah. I was wrong. Even ambition has borders, mine crumbled. I'm sorry. Was it genuine remorse or image management? Leah saved it to a folder labeled unanswered. For Daryl, the footage release was a second detonation. Sponsors who'd hinted at reconciliation now yanked deals outright. The board scheduled an emergency vote to formalize his removal. He sat in his dim kitchen, letter opener poised over Leah's unsent apology. Shame bloomed like black mold, Amora's voice echoing, investors love decisive men. How decisively he'd destroyed everything. Desperation clawed at him. He dialed Leah. This time the call connected, she answered. Silence stretched 10, 15 seconds. Daryl, horse, I saw the video. I'm sorry. I know that's dust in a storm. Leah, even I received your letter unsent. Words only heal when followed by change. Daryl, teach me how to change. Leah, that work is yours. Seek therapy. Make amends beyond me. Her tone wasn't cruel, it was a closed door politely labeled do not knock. She wished him healing, then ended the call. Tears slipped down Daryl's face, not because she hung up, but because her grace underscored his impoverished soul. He opened a browser, typed abuse accountability therapy Abuja. For once, he clicked book appointment. That night Phoenix Desk met again, this time at Mama Okafor's house. Steam from a pot of jollof rice fogged the windows. Mama, ladling rice obugikmgemes, my daughter, you're the reason I raise my head. Leah hugged her mother tight. Your prayers built my backbone. As they ate, Leah confessed, part of me feared releasing the clip would reignite pain. But sharing truth felt lighter than carrying it alone. Dr. Mensah nodded. You modeled boundaries. People learn from that more than from outrage. Leah smiled, fatigue edging her features. Boundaries used to feel like walls. Now they're garden fences, keeping growth safe. Adiz clinked her glass. To garden fences and phoenix feathers. They toasted, and for the first night in months Leah slept 8 uninterrupted hours, dreams filled with soft ocean waves instead of shutter clicks. 3 months later, the Women of the Future Summit convened in Kigali, Rwanda, a yearly gathering of entrepreneurs, activists, and creatives leading Africa into new horizons. The organizers announced Leah Okafor as recipient of the inaugural Phoenix Torch Award, honoring resilience transformed into tangible social impact. The summit's theme, From Ashes to Architecture, felt hand-stitched for Leah's journey. She agreed to deliver the closing keynote, her first major address since Good Morning Africa. In her Kigali hotel suite overlooking rolling green hills, Leah rehearsed before a mirror. Phoenix Desk had helped craft the speech, but she insisted on writing large swaths herself. Adiz lounged on the bed, scrolling Twitter. Adiz, rooms buzzing. Delegates quoting your past interview. Leah, nervous laugh, let's hope they quote me correctly after tonight. She adjusted her Ankara pattern jumpsuit, bold teal and burnt orange, and slipped into low-heeled sandals. The look screamed grounded elegance, exactly how she wanted to feel. Mema Okafor FaceTimed, proud as sunrise. Remember, Nwam, speak like river, gentle but unstoppable. Leah blew her a kiss and descended to the ballroom. Thick velvet curtains muffled the murmur of 800 attendees. Stage crew attached a lapel mic. Leah inhaled bergamot from a diffuser, centering herself. Beside her stood Kenya's Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Aching, ready to introduce her. The deputy leaned in. Your story reached my nieces. They founded a school club called Quiet Risers. I'm honored to share a stage. Leah's eyes misted. They honor themselves, she whispered. Dr. Aching stepped to the podium, voice ringing, we are architects of tomorrow, but some among us first mastered survival in yesterday's fires. Please welcome a woman who turned embers into blueprints, Leah Okafor. Applause thundered. Spotlights bloomed. Leah walked out, heart pounding not with fear but with purpose. She began with a pause, long enough for the room to settle into listening rather than anticipating. Leah, soft, carrying. 311 days ago, I believed silence protected love. 234 days ago, silence protected someone else's ego. Tonight, silence protects my peace while my words build bridges. She traced her journey, not as a linear rise but as concentric circles. Love, loss, awakening, action. She projected photos, a woman signing a microgrant check, a shelter with pastel murals, a therapy session funded by Phoenix Desk. Leah, trauma shrinks your world to the size of a bruise. Healing is cartography, redrawing borders, adding new oceans. She addressed men in the audience directly. Your masculinity is not measured by whom you overshadow, but by how brightly you allow others to shine. And to women. Survival is our mother tongue, but we deserve to speak fluency in joy. Her finale quieted the hall. I stand before you not as a phoenix who rose alone, but as proof that collective breath fans dying sparks. If you ever doubted your flame, borrow mine until yours reignites. She stepped back. The silence felt electric, then erupted into a standing ovation, chairs scraping, hands stinging from force of claps. Some delegates wiped tears, others raised clenched fists. Leah bowed, warmth flooding every cell. She realized she was crying, tears sliding but not shaking her voice, because she'd already spoken. Backstage, journalists angled for sound bites. Leah gave brief thanks, then sought a quiet corner. Adiz burst in, eyes glossy. CNN wants global syndication. Netflix's docuseries team emailed. Leah laughed, hugging her. One step at a time. Tonight, let's eat ugali and dance to Afro House. They joined a rooftop reception overlooking Kigali's glowing grid. A cool breeze threaded through laughter and clinking glasses. Delegates approached, teachers, coders, ministers, offering gratitude stories. A Zimbabwean coder said, #Rise quietly gave my sister courage to exit a forced marriage. She's starting a fintech course. A Moroccan artist handed Leah a painting, a woman formed from feathers and circuit boards. Your story merges tradition and tech, she said. Leah cradled the art like a newborn. Under fairy lights, DJ Sifa spun soulful amapiano. Leah and Adiz danced barefoot, energy whirling skyward. In that moment Leah tasted a freedom sweeter than vindication, expansion. Past midnight, Leah returned to her suite, shoes dangling from her fingers. On the desk lay an envelope bearing the summit crest. Inside, a handwritten note from Dr. Aching. Your speech resounded like a drum through my bones. We pledge 50 scholarships under the Rise Quietly banner. Leah pressed the page to her heart. Scholarships, education as prevention, not just cure. Her phone vibrated, a message from an unsaved number. She almost ignored it, but curiosity won. Daryl, text I watched the speech livestream. First therapy session tomorrow. Thank you for the push I never deserved. Leah typed back after a long silence, do the work for yourself, not for thanks. She deleted it, choosing instead, peace on your journey. She hit send. Setting the phone down, she stepped onto the balcony. Kigally's hills glimmered. She exhaled, feeling her former life settle into history rather than burden. In Leah, survival was chapter 1. Architecture is the sequel. She closed the balcony door, crawled into bed, and dreamt of building libraries where girls wrote their names in ink that never smudged. Late May sun glazed the Abuja skyline as Daryl Njoku sat in a leather chair opposite Dr. Ejike, a soft-spoken psychologist whose office shelves overflowed with clay sculptures. A brass plaque read, "Healing grows where honesty is planted." Daryl twisted a stress ball, knuckles white. I made headlines for spitting on my wife. Tell me how to atone. Dr. Ejike nodded, unhurried. Start smaller. Why did you choose humiliation over conversation? Silence thickened. Daryl's eyes brimmed. I felt invisible around investors. Amora said power must be displayed. He paused. Failing deals, fading marriage, spitting felt like control. He winced at his own confession. The therapist's pen scratched paper. Control borrowed is control lost. True power is self-mastery. They unpacked childhood tapes. Daryl's father had equated apology with weakness. By session's end, Daryl's shoulders slumped, but his breathing slowed. He booked 8 additional appointments. That night he drafted letters, one to Leah, unsent, one to the Phoenix desk pledging 15 million Nigerian nairas anonymously to the mental health helpline. He mailed the latter, attaching no acknowledgement needed. Across town, Leah surveyed a vacant 2-story building donated by Kigali philanthropists. Cracked walls, leaking roof, but perfect bones. Phoenix desk planned to transform it into the Quiet Nest, West Africa's first trauma recovery co-working hub, complete with childcare and in-house counselors. Adiz waved architectural sketches. We'll keep the courtyard mango tree, symbol of fruit after drought. Leah imagined survivors under its shade brainstorming apps, memoirs, textile startups. Make the tree the center, she said. Growth rings visible. Chidinma announced new partnerships. Microsoft Africa offers laptops. A Lagos bank will underwrite microloans if we hit milestone metrics. Leah grinned, elated yet daunted. We're scaling hope. Let's pace our wings. The Economist published Leah's essay Economics of Dignity, arguing that nations lose GDP when half their citizens shrink from domestic trauma. It cited World Bank data and Phoenix Desk's grant outcomes. 74% of recipients launched revenue streams within 6 months. Policymakers took note. Ghana's parliament scheduled a reading of a domestic dignity bill modeled on Leah's recommendations. Leah received an invitation to testify. One humid evening Leah ducked into Ritual's cafe for ginger tea. A man stood holding the door, tall, bespectacled, wearing a Plant Trees, Plant Dreams tee. He smiled. You first. Inside, they discovered the last 2 seats shared a table. He introduced himself, Dosin Adebayo, forestry consultant. Conversation flowed, from carbon credits to childhood hide-and-seek tales. Dosin admired Leah's phoenix ring, a gold feather curling round her finger. She recognized no spark of agenda in his eyes, only genuine curiosity. When they parted, he asked permission to text. Leah hesitated, feeling the echo of broken trust. But his kindness felt like a clear well. She nodded. Their texts unfolded at unhurried cadence. Dosin, reading your Economist op-ed, never thought about trauma as GDP leakage. Mind blown. Leah, logging destroys forests, trauma logs destroy futures. Same principle of depletion, I guess. He replied with a photo of a sapling he planted that morning, captioned, proof we can regreen scars. Leah smiled longer than she meant to. Meanwhile, Amora resurfaced in Dubai at a luxury VC panel. An investigative journalist confronted her with the leaked video. Sponsors withdrew, brand deals collapsed. In a tearful press conference, Amora said, ambition starved my empathy. She announced a sabbatical and offered to volunteer at the Quiet Nest once it opened. Phoenix Desk deliberated, concluding, accountability includes transformation, door open, scrutiny intact. Njoku Energy Ventures board offered Daryl a modest severance to finalize his resignation. He accepted, stipulating that half be routed to Phoenix Desk Scholarship Fund. The board agreed, the PR upside irresistible. His lawyer delivered the check with a note, "No strings, only repentance." Leah approved its deposit, impact over pride. Private accountability, public good. Leah visited her old marital home to collect lingering possessions. Garden weeds had overtaken the stone path she once manicured. She paused by the boundary fence she'd likened to protection. Inside, sunlight revealed dust on framed wedding photos. She packed what mattered: journals, grandmother's wrapper, a seashell from Zanzibar, unused anniversary trip. She left behind the crystal vases, fragile echoes. Daryl arrived unexpectedly, suitcase in hand, moving out permanently. They stood in the foyer among cardboard boxes, ghosts swirling. Daryl, soft house sold to a young couple. Fresh start for Walls and Us. Leah, I wish you healing. Daryl, therapy replays my cruelty like a courtroom. But I keep showing up. Leah, showing up is day one. Day two is showing up for others. They parted with a tentative handshake, acknowledgement of history but not reunion. June's final weekend found Leah speaking before Ghana's parliament. Afterward she drove to Kokrebite Beach alone, at dusk, craving salt wind. Walking barefoot, she filmed a short clip. When tides erase footprints, they teach us to step again without fear. She posted it. Within hours #Quiet Beach trended, followers sharing shoreline reflections on starting over. Leah pocketed her phone and closed her eyes, waves whispering. For the first time, she felt Chapter 9 closing inside her chest, pages turning by choice, not force. Sunrise painted Kokrebite's horizon sherbet pink. Fishermen pushed wooden boats into sparkling foam, singing fant work chants. Leah, wrapped in a light Kent shawl, scribbled in her journal. Gratitude is the softest armor. She looked up to see Dawson jogging along the waterline, hoodie fluttering. He spotted her, slowed, and waved. Dawson, catching breath, didn't expect to see you here. Leah, smiling, parliament business done. Thought I'd borrow the sea. Dawson, same. Forestry conference in Accra drained me, nature's recharge. They walked, talking about mangrove restoration and Phoenix desks building renovations. A hermit crab scuttled across their path. Dawson gently relocated it. Leah noticed his patience, like someone reading a poem aloud. He offered breakfast at a shack famous for spicy wakey. Over plantain and fried fish they laughed at Leah's failed surfing attempt videos. Dawson showed childhood scars from climbing cacao trees. Conversation drifted serious. Dawson had ended a long relationship last year due to emotional neglect. Leah shared fragments of her ordeal, enough to be honest, not so much to bleed. Dawson listened without rescuing. You've alchemized pain into architecture, he said. It's humbling. Leah felt warmth bloom, slow, unworried. August arrived and with it the Quiet Nest inauguration. Fresh paint, solar panels, murals of phoenixes blending into baobab roots. Guest list, grant recipients, mental health professionals, dignitaries, and surprise volunteers from Daryl's former staff. Leah cut a ribbon woven from recycled anchor strips. Journalists asked, "What's next?" She gestured to the building. "Listen to the stories incubating here, they're next." Dawson attended bearing a gift, a young neem tree in a terracotta pot. "Fast-growing, purifies air," he said. They planted it beside the courtyard's mango, symbolic of new shade joining old. That night in her new apartment, walls painted tranquil sage, Leah sorted mail. At the bottom lay Daryl's long-ago letter, forwarded from the old address. She hadn't realized he'd finally posted it. She brewed chamomile, then opened the envelope. Leah. I learned contrition isn't a performance but a practice. Every Thursday I wipe tables at the trauma clinic that your grant funds. Patients don't know who I am, they call me the man who brings biscuits. Today a boy asked why I volunteer. I said, because cleaning is how I clean myself. If my story ever helps your mission, use it. I'm donating my memoir proceeds to the Quiet Nest, if any publisher still cares. May your light never need to dim for anyone again. D. Leah folded the letter carefully, placed it in a box labeled Archives of Becoming. Weeks later, the Quiet Nest hosted its first story exchange night. Survivors read poems, coders demoed apps, chefs distributed jollof baked with healing herbs. Dawson volunteered to run the soundboard. After guests left, he and Leah lingered in the courtyard. The neem sapling rustled under starlight. Dawson, gentle, ever think of adding a reforestation wing to Phoenix projects? Healing land, healing people, ecosystems reflect us. Leah, I like that. Trees whisper resilience. Silence, comfortable. Then Dawson spoke again, voice soft. Leah, I honor your pace, but I also honor this feeling. May I court you, with transparency and patience? Wind stirred her shawl. Leah weighed the shimmer in her chest. No rush, just possibility. Leah, let's begin with long walks and shared sunrises. If feelings sprout, we'll nurture them mindfully. He smiled, eyes reflecting courtyard lanterns. Best growth plan I've heard. They sealed the understanding with linked fingers, nothing more. By December, the Rise Quietly framework had been adopted by 5 NGOs across Africa and Southeast Asia. Harvard Business Review featured the Quiet Nest as a case study in trauma-informed entrepreneurship. Leah video conferenced with students in Manila. One asked, how do you stay strong when trolls attack? Leah replied, strength isn't an armor plate, it's elasticity. Bend, don't crack. Screens across classrooms filled with nods. On Leah's next birthday, Dawson surprised her with a trip to Le Méridien Ibom Resort, lush forests meeting the Cross River. At dawn they paddled a canoe through mist. Leah trailed fingers in the water, remembering the beach where the saga ended and began. On shore, Dawson handed her a small box. Inside lay a ring of recycled silver shaped like interlocking leaves. Not an engagement, he clarified, a promise of presence. If someday you wish for more, we'll walk that path. Leah slipped it on, tears glimmering. Presence is the rarest gift, she said. A decade passes in a whisper yet produces forests of change. The Quiet Nest franchises arise in Nairobi, Recife, Bangalore. Survivors turned founders generate millions in revenue, recycling a third into new branches. Leah, now Dr. Okafor after earning a doctorate in socioeconomic healing, lectures globally, always returning home to Abuja's mango and neem trees. She and Dawson marry in a small eco-sanctuary, vows spoken beneath a canopy of planted saplings rather than imported flowers. They adopt twins, Ada and Zikora, found at a shelter Leah once funded. The children grow among stories of resilience like bedtime lullabies. Daryl writes a modest bestseller, The Man Who Brings Biscuits. All royalties funnel to Phoenix Desk's Male Accountability Program. He lives quietly, remarried to honesty if not to another person, and volunteers weekly without fail. Amora, after years in therapy, becomes director of a Gulf-based investment fund instituting stringent ethics clauses. She invites Leah to keynote their annual conference, proof that circles can widen instead of closing. On a quiet evening, Leah stands on the refurbished balcony of her Abuja home, same height as Adi's old flat, but overlooking the Quiet Nest's courtyard. Mango branches sway, neem leaves shimmer, children's laughter rises from below. Adiz joins her, wine glasses in hand. Remember when all you wanted was a night without cameras, she teases. Leah chuckles. Now cameras film mango harvest tutorials. They toast. Stars sprinkle the velvet sky. Adiz, any regrets? Leah, thoughtful regret is past tense energy. I prefer gratitude for the day tours. A phone buzzes, Dawson texts a photo, saplings planted today in Kaduna, captioned new roots. Leah smiles. She breathes in night air heavy with hibiscus, exhaling peace. The world below keeps moving, wings beating, stories rewriting, ashes birthing architecture. Sometimes the loudest statement is walking away with grace. Leah once walked, now she builds the roads others will walk upon, quietly, but the world hears. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment your thoughts and share. See you in the next story. AFRITALES by Moonlight.